Captain Lee Hyun walked slowly across the metal floor of his ship. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of computers and air systems. The UES Defender was not pretty to look at. It had thick gray walls covered in bolts and welding marks. The corridors were narrow and smelled like oil and metal polish. Nothing about this ship looked fancy or advanced. Through the big window, Lee Hyun could see the other 11 ships in Earth's first space fleet. They all looked the same, ugly boxes covered, in armor with big guns sticking out from every side. The humans had spent 50 years building these 12 warships. Every country on Earth had given money materials and their smartest people to make them. But now, as Lee Hyun stared out at the giant alien space station ahead, he wondered if 50 years had been enough. The station was beautiful. It looked like a crystal flower floating in space with streams of colored light flowing around it. Ships from dozens of alien worlds moved around it, like tiny birds. Some were shaped like teardrops, others like long snakes, and some looked like living creatures made of light. Inside the station, the Galactic Council was meeting. Earth wanted to join this council, wanted to be treated as equals with all the other star-traveling species. But first, the aliens wanted to see what humans could do. They wanted to see Earth's warships. Lee Hyun touched the communication button on his chair. Communications officer Bae Sung looked up from his station. Bae. Sung was young, maybe 25, with nervous eyes and quick fingers. He had never been this far from Earth before. None of them had. Open a channel to the station. Lee Hyun said his voice was calm, but his hands were tight. The main screen flickered, and suddenly the bridge was filled with alien faces. There were the Alterans, tall and blue with silver eyes that seemed to look right through you. The Velkans looked like living crystals that changed colors when they moved. The Zorathi had fur and long ears and reminded Lee Hyun of the cats his grandmother used to keep. But these aliens were not cute pets. They were the rulers of hundreds of worlds. Ambassador Kim. Dae stepped forward. Kim Dae was 50 years old with gray hair and deep lines. Around his eyes, he had been a diplomat on Earth for 30 years talking to presidents and kings. Now he had to talk to creatures from other worlds, honored members of the Galactic Council. Kim Dae said, bowing slightly, "Earth is proud to present our fleet for your inspection. We hope this marks the beginning of a long friendship between our species." The aliens looked at each other. Then they started to laugh. Commander Vex of the Alteran Royal Fleet was the first to speak. His voice was smooth and cold like winter wind. Did they really build those things with hammers and welding tools? Our scout ships could destroy their entire fleet before lunchtime. A Velkan delegate who looked like a walking diamond made clicking sounds. That means they are laughing very hard in their language. These Earth creatures think those metal boxes can fight in space. It is like watching children play with toy boats. The Zorathi delegate shook his furry head. Those poor primitive beings, they have no idea how real space combat works. Maybe we should adopt them as pets, Lee. Hyun felt his face get hot. His crew was listening to every word. Engineer Park Min was standing near the engine controls. His face was red with anger. Park Min had worked 20 hours a day for 5 years to build the Defender's engines. He had missed his daughter's birthday and his father's funeral to finish this ship. Weapons Officer Choi Yan was at her station checking the guns one more time. Choi Yan was small and quiet, but she could hit a target from 1,000 kilometers away. She had trained with these weapons until she could fire them in her sleep. Now the aliens were calling her guns primitive junk. The alien laughter got louder. Some delegates were taking pictures of the human ships with their alien cameras. They wanted to show their friends back home the funny side of Earth trying to build warships. Ambassador Kim. They tried to stay calm, but Lee Hyun could see the anger in his eyes. Honored delegates, perhaps. We could discuss the patrol routes you mentioned. We are ready to begin our duties immediately. Commander. Vex smiled, and it was not a nice smile. Oh yes, the patrol routes. We have the perfect assignment for your little fleet. The Kepler Nebula sector has been having some trouble with pirates lately. The Shadow Fleet has been destroying merchant ships and attacking colonies. The other aliens started laughing even harder. The Shadow Fleet was famous throughout the galaxy. They were the most dangerous pirates in space. They had destroyed entire battle groups from advanced alien civilizations. Their ships were fast invisible and armed with weapons that could cut through any armor. You want us to fight the Shadow Fleet? Li Hyun asked. Commander Vex shrugged. Why not? If you survive, it will prove Earth deserves to join the Council. If you do not survive well, at least you will die doing something useful. We will clean up your wreckage and send it back to your families. The insults kept coming. An alien that looked like a giant spider said something in its own language that made all the others laugh. The translator turned its words into human speech. It said, I have seen better ships at the Scrap Metal Recycling Center. Dr. Yang Min-jae, the fleet's chief scientist, was standing in the back of the bridge. She was young and brilliant and had helped design many of the ship's systems. Now she was listening to aliens mock everything she had worked for. Her hands were shaking with anger. Li Hyun had heard enough. He stepped forward and looked directly at Commander Vex. The alien was tall and proud and clearly thought humans were nothing more than talking animals. Thank you for the assignment, Commander Li Hyun said. His voice was steady, and Cold Earth accepts the patrol duty in the Kepler Nebula. We will handle any pirates we encounter. The aliens laughed so hard some of them started making choking sounds. Commander Vex wiped tears from his silver eyes. Oh, this is wonderful. The Earth. Monkeys think they can fight the Shadow Fleet. This will be the best entertainment we have had in years. Little human creatures, Vex said. Opening a direct channel to all 12 Earth ships. Are you sure about this? The Shadow Fleet has been hunting in the Kepler Nebula for months. They have destroyed ships 10 times better than yours. We would hate to have to clean up your debris field. Li Hyun looked around his bridge at his crew. These were good people, brave people, smart people. They had left their families and their home planet to prove that Earth could stand among the stars. They deserved better than this mockery. Tell the commander that Earth appreciates his concern, Li Hyun said to Bae Sung. But our fleet can take care of itself. As the human ships moved away from the beautiful alien station, the laughter followed them. The delegates were already making bets on how long the Earth fleet would last. Some said one day, others said the humans would turn around and run home before. They even reached the nebula, but they were wrong about one thing. The humans were not going to run. They were going to the Kepler Nebula, and they were going to show the galaxy what Earth was really made of. The aliens thought they had just watched 12 ships fly to their doom. Instead, they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. Commander Vex watched the ugly human ships disappear into hyperspace and smiled. Soon, there would be 12 less primitive warships cluttering up the galaxy, and Earth would learn its place among the civilized species. He had no idea that in a few days those same primitive warships would change everything. 3 days had passed since the human fleet left the alien space station. The 12 Earth ships moved through space in a tight group like wolves hunting together. The Kepler Nebula stretched out ahead of them, full of colorful gas clouds and swirling dust. The nebula was beautiful, but dangerous. Perfect hiding spots for pirates and raiders who wanted to attack merchant ships. Captain Li Hyun stood on the bridge of the UES Defender, watching the nebula get closer and closer. His crew was working at their stations, but he could feel the tension in the air. Everyone knew what they were flying into. The Shadow Fleet had been terrorizing this region for months, destroying ships and killing innocent people. Chief Navigator Oh Se-jin was bent over her instruments. Her face was lit up by the green glow of her screens. Oh Se-jin was 30 years old and had been navigating ships since she was 18. She knew space better than anyone on the ship, but even she looked worried. Captain, I am picking up strange energy readings, she said without looking up from her screens. Something big is moving in the nebula. Maybe 15 ships or more. They are trying to hide, but I can still detect them, Lee. Hyun felt his stomach tighten. 15 ships, that. Had to be the Shadow Fleet. The pirates were known for traveling in large groups and using the nebula as their base. They would hide in the gas clouds and jump out to attack passing ships before disappearing again. All ships battle stations, he said. Into his communicator, his voice carried to every human vessel in the fleet. Prepare for contact. We are not alone out here. Throughout the 12 ships, alarm bells rang and crew members ran to their positions. Engineer Park Min rushed through the corridors of the UES Defender checking systems one last time. Park Min was 40 years old with strong hands and oil under his fingernails. He had built these ships to last, to take damage and keep fighting. The armor plating is holding at maximum strength, he reported to the bridge. All backup systems are ready. If they hit us, we will keep fighting. The human ships had been built different from alien vessels. Most galactic warships were sleek and fast with energy shields and lightweight hulls. But the Earth ships were covered in thick metal armor with multiple backup systems for everything. They looked ugly, but they were incredibly tough weapons. Officer Choi Yeon powered up the ship's main guns. The plasma cannons hummed to life-filling. The weapon bays with dangerous energy. Choi Yeon was small and quiet, but deadly accurate. She had spent years training with these weapons until she could hit targets that other gunners could not even see. All weapon systems ready. She reported, the main guns are charged and ready to fire. Secondary weapons are online. All missile tubes are loaded. The human weapons were different, too. Most alien ships used energy beams that could slice through light armor very quickly, but the Earth weapons fired physical projectiles and explosive charges. They were crude by galactic standards, but incredibly powerful. Suddenly, 15 black shapes appeared out of the colorful gas clouds like evil spirits. The Shadow Fleet ships were sleek and beautiful with dark hulls that seemed to absorb light. They moved like hunting cats, silent and deadly communications. Officer Bae Sung received a transmission from the pirate fleet. His young face went pale as he listened to their words. Captain, they are demanding. We surrender. They say we should give up now, and they might let us live as slaves. The pirate commander's voice crackled over the speakers with electronic distortion. Well, what do we have here? Earth's little toy boats floating around in our nebula. This will be easier than taking candy from a baby. Surrender now and we might not kill all of you. Lee Hyun looked around his bridge at his crew. These people had left their homes and families to serve on this mission. They trusted him to bring them. Through whatever dangers they faced, he would not let them down. This is Captain Lee Hyun of the United Earth Fleet, he said into the communicator. You have attacked innocent merchant ships and murdered civilians. You have one chance to retreat peacefully. The pirates burst into loud laughter that echoed through space. Did this monkey just threaten us? Boys, let's show these primitive humans what real warships can do. Time to turn their scrap metal into space dust. The Shadow Fleet opened fire. First. There, advanced energy weapons lit up the nebula like deadly fireworks. Beams of pure energy lanced out toward the human ships. Everyone expected to see the Earth vessels explode into burning debris. But something amazing happened. The human ships did not explode. Instead, their thick armor plating absorbed the energy beams. Sparks flew and metal glowed hot, but the hulls held strong. The backup systems kicked in automatically, and the ships kept fighting. What the hell, shouted the pirate commander. Those energy beams should have cut right through them. How are they still alive? Engineer Park Min watched his displays with growing excitement. Captain armor holding at 90%. All systems functioning normally. These old-fashioned materials are actually working better than expected against their energy weapons. The pirates had never encountered ships like these before. Their weapons were designed to quickly slice through the lightweight hulls of modern alien vessels, but the human ships were built like ancient castles with walls so thick that arrows could not penetrate them. Dr. Yang Minjai was monitoring the battle from the science station. Her instruments were recording everything that happened. She could see that the pirate weapons were having almost no effect on the human armor captain. She called out, "Their energy weapons are designed for quick kills against lightly armored targets, but our ships are built to absorb punishment. Their weapons are almost useless against us now." It was the humans' turn to attack. All 12 Earth ships turned their ugly weapons toward the Shadow Fleet. The plasma cannons charged up with deadly energy, and the missile tubes prepared to fire return fire. Li Hyun commanded, "Let them see what Earth weapons can do." The human fleet opened up with everything they had. Plasma bolts flew through space like miniature suns. Each bolt contained enough energy to vaporize a city block. The missiles followed behind, leaving trails of fire as they sought their targets. The first volley caught the pirates completely by surprise. 3 Shadow Fleet ships exploded instantly as the primitive human weapons tore through their advanced hulls like tissue paper. The pirates had built their ships for speed and stealth, but they had forgotten about armor impossible. Screamed the pirate commander, "How are those garbage weapons hurting us? Our ships are the most advanced in the galaxy, but the human weapons were perfect for this kind of fight." The pirates had grown used to fighting enemies who used energy shields and beam weapons. They had no defense against physical projectiles that hit like sledgehammers. The battle turned into a nightmare for the Shadow Fleet. They tried to use their speed to escape, but the human ships tracked them with deadly accuracy. Every time a pirate ship tried to run, the Earth vessels would focus their fire and destroy it. Lieutenant Commander Song Hai, captain of the UES Avenger, coordinated the attack. Her ship moved, like a predator hunting wounded prey. Song Hai was calm and deadly, and she knew exactly how to use her weapons. "Target their lead ship," she commanded. "All vessels concentrate fire on the command vessel. Let us end this quickly." 6 human warships turned, their guns on the pirate flagship. The Shadow Fleet commander watched in horror as walls of plasma fire converged on his position. His ship's shields collapsed in seconds, and the hull began to melt under the intense heat. "This is impossible," he screamed. As his bridge caught fire, "You are supposed to be primitives, barbarians with scrap metal. How are you destroying us?" But the humans were not finished. The 12 Earth ships pursued the surviving pirates through the nebula like hunting dogs chasing rabbits. The Shadow Fleet ships began to suffer system failures as their delicate technology broke down under combat stress. By the time the fighting ended, 10 of the 15 pirate ships were destroyed. The remaining 5 fled deeper into the nebula, their crews traumatized by their encounter with Earth's primitive warships. Captain Li Hyun surveyed the battlefield with grim satisfaction. Floating in space were the burning remains of some of the most feared pirates in the galaxy, destroyed by the same ships the aliens had mocked just days before. The space around the human fleet was filled with burning wreckage. Pieces of Shadow Fleet ships drifted through the colorful gas clouds of the Kepler Nebula like fallen leaves. The most feared pirates in the galaxy had been destroyed by 12 ugly Earth ships that everyone had laughed at. Captain Li Hyun walked through the corridors of the UES Defender, checking on his crew. The ship smelled like hot metal and electrical burns, but it was still fighting. Emergency lights blinked red and yellow where the pirate energy weapons had hit, but the thick armor had held damage report. He asked Engineer Park Min, who was covered in grease and sweat. Park Min looked up from a control panel with a huge grin on his face. "Minor hull damage on 4 ships, sir. Some electronics got fried by their energy weapons, but nothing we cannot fix. All vessels are still combat ready. We can repair everything with the tools and parts we brought with us." The human ships had been built with this in mind. Every vessel carried extra armor plates, spare parts, and multiple backup systems. The aliens built their ships to be fast and elegant, but humans built theirs to survive and keep fighting no matter what happened. Weapons Officer Choi Yeon was already reloading the plasma cannons and missile tubes. Her small hands moved quickly over the controls as she prepared for the next battle. Choi Yeon never smiled much, but today she looked satisfied. All weapons systems operational. She reported, "We used about 30% of our ammunition, sir, but we have plenty left for another fight." Communications Officer Bae Sung was monitoring all the emergency frequencies, listening for distress calls or reports about the battle. His young face was serious as he worked. "Captain, I am picking up transmissions from all over the sector. News of our victory is spreading fast. Some merchant ships are saying they saw the explosions from here. Others are asking if the Shadow Fleet is really gone." Dr. Yang Min-jae was studying the wreckage of the pirate ships with her scientific instruments. Her job was to learn as much as possible about alien technology, and she had found something very interesting. "Captain, you need to see this," she said, her voice tight with worry. The Shadow Fleet was not using standard pirate equipment. These weapons and ship designs, they are military grade. Specifically, they match Alteran technology. Lee Hyun felt a cold chill run down his spine. "Are you saying the Alterans were supplying the pirates either? That, or someone with access to their technology?" Was Yang Min-jae replied. "Sir, I think we have stumbled into something much bigger than a simple pirate problem. This was not just random crime. This was organized warfare. The discovery changed everything. The Shadow Fleet had not been independent criminals. They had been backed by someone with serious resources and advanced military technology, someone who wanted this region of space to be unsafe for merchant ships and small colonies." Chief Navigator. "Oh," Si-jin called out from her station. "Captain, we have multiple ships approaching from different directions. They are not moving like pirates. These look like official vessels from various species. On the main screen, 15 new ships appeared, but these were different from the Shadow Fleet. Each ship had the markings of a different alien species. Some looked like the vessels Lee Hyun had seen at the Galactic Council Station. Incoming transmission, Bae Sung reported. "Put it through," Lee Hyun ordered. Face that appeared on screen was reptilian with golden eyes and green scales that shimmered in the light. This was clearly an intelligent being, but from a species the humans had never seen before. "I am Ambassador Keith of the Draknari Coalition," the alien said. His voice was deep and serious. "Captain Lee Hyun, your victory over the Shadow Fleet has earned you many admirers throughout the galaxy, but it has also earned you many enemies. We need to talk." Within an hour, representatives from 6 different alien species had come aboard the UES Defender. They met in the ship's main conference room, which was small and cramped compared to the grand chambers the aliens were used to. But nobody complained. Ambassador Keth spoke first, explaining things that made Lee Hyun's blood boil. The Shadow Fleet had not been random pirates. They were part of a secret organization called the Hegemony. This group was controlled by several major galactic powers, including the Alterans. The Hegemony would use pirate fleets to attack merchant ships and small colonies, making entire regions too dangerous for normal trade. Then they would send in their own military forces as peacekeepers, offering protection in exchange for control over trade routes and resources. Commander Vex has been the primary architect of this expansion. Ambassador Keth explained, "They have taken control of 12 star systems in the past 5 years using this method. Your species just destroyed one of their most important pirate fleets. A insect, like alien, with multiple eyes clicked its mandibles, which the translator turned into words. The Hegemony thought they were safe because nobody could defeat their advanced technology. But you humans have proven that raw firepower and determination can beat fancy gadgets." Lee Hyun looked around the table at these aliens who had once been strangers. "Why are you telling us this? What do you want in return because your species has done something nobody thought possible?" Ambassador Keth replied, "You have proven that the Hegemony's technology is not unbeatable. We want an alliance, Captain. Together we can stop their expansion and free the systems they have conquered." But even as they talked about forming an alliance, bad news was coming from other parts of the galaxy. Back on Earth, the government was receiving reports from their spy satellites. The Alteran Royal Fleet was mobilizing ships were leaving their home worlds and gathering at military bases. Chief Medical Officer Park. So Young was treating injured crew members when she received an encrypted message from Earth Command. Her face went white as she read the contents. Sir, she said to Lee Hyun when he returned from the meeting, Earth Command has detected massive fleet movements in Alteran space. They are mobilizing their 4th battle group. Over 200 ships are heading toward this sector. 200 ships. Lee Hyun felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. The human fleet had barely survived against 15 pirates. Now they might have to face 200 advanced military vessels. But Engineer Park Min had been thinking about their recent battle, and he had some interesting ideas. Sir, I have been studying the wreckage from the Shadow Fleet. He said, Our plasma weapons tore right through their hulls, but their energy beams barely scratched our armor. I think I know why. He pulled up technical information on a portable screen. Modern galactic warfare is all about energy shields and directed energy weapons. But our ships use physical projectiles and explosive charges. Their defenses are not designed to handle that kind of attack. Weapons Officer Choi Yeon nodded with excitement. It is like they have been fighting with swords for so long they forgot how to defend against hammers. Our crude weapons are perfect against their advanced technology. The realization was important, but it did not change the basic math. 12 human ships could not defeat 200 Alteran warships no matter how effective their weapons were. Then Communications Officer Bae Sung brought news that changed everything. Captain, we are receiving messages from ship captains throughout the sector. The Zarathi government is offering military support. So are the Velkans and several independent colonies. Word of our victory has spread, and other species want to fight alongside us. Ambassador Kim Dae, who had been quiet during most of the technical discussions, finally smiled. It seems our victory over the Shadow Fleet has inspired others to stand up to the hegemony. We are not going to fight this battle alone. Within hours, messages were coming in from all over the galaxy. Species that had been neutral or afraid were now willing to send their ships to fight. Alongside the humans, Earth's 12 ugly warships had become a symbol of resistance against Alteran domination. But Commander Vex was not sitting idle. His massive fleet was already in hyperspace heading toward the Kepler Nebula. He had a plan to crush this rebellion before it could spread to other parts of the galaxy. The primitive humans and their pathetic allies were about to learn what real military power looked like. News of the Shadow Fleet defeat spread through the galaxy faster than the fastest ships could travel. Every species with communication networks heard the impossible story. Earth ships, ugly primitive vessels, had destroyed the most feared pirates in space. The story seemed too crazy to believe, but the evidence was everywhere. On 100 different worlds, alien leaders gathered in emergency meetings. The recordings of the battle were played over and over, showing human ships absorbing energy, weapon attacks that should have destroyed them. Then came the return fire, crude plasma bolts and missiles that tore through advanced pirate vessels like they were made of paper. At the Galactic Council headquarters, panic was spreading through the elegant halls. Ambassador Kim Dae found himself suddenly very popular. Alien diplomats who had ignored him before were now requesting urgent private meetings. Chancellor Thex of the Velkan Republic was the first to approach Kim Dae. His crystal body was shimmering with nervous energy, changing colors from blue to purple. As he spoke, Ambassador Kim, he said in his musical voice, "We may have made an error in our evaluation of your species' military capabilities. Perhaps we should discuss Earth's membership application more seriously." Kim Dae kept his face calm, but inside he was celebrating. This was what Earth had wanted all along, to be treated as equals instead of primitive newcomers. "Earth appreciates the Council's renewed interest in our application," he replied smoothly. "We have always believed that actions speak louder than words, but not everyone was happy about humanity's sudden rise in galactic politics. Commander Vex of the Alteran Royal Fleet was furious. His species had dominated military affairs for hundreds of years, controlling trade routes and deciding which species got protection. Now these ugly human ships were making him look like a fool. One lucky battle does not make them warriors, he declared to his officers during a strategy meeting. They caught some pirates off guard with their crude tactics. Let us see how they handle real military vessels with proper training and coordination. Vex had been studying everything he could find about human ships and weapons. His intelligence. Officers had recovered some wreckage from the battle and brought it back for analysis. The results were disturbing but not impossible to overcome. Their weapons are powerful but primitive. He told his staff, "Our ships can maintain distance and use our superior speed to avoid their attacks. If we fight smart, we can destroy them without taking serious losses." Meanwhile, Captain Lee Hyun was dealing with a flood of communications from across the galaxy. Ship captains, planetary governors, and military commanders were all sending messages. Some wanted to join the fight against the hegemony. Others were offering supplies, intelligence, or safe harbors. The conference room aboard the UES Defender was packed with alien representatives who had traveled from distant worlds to meet with the human captain. Ambassador Keth of the Draknari Coalition had brought friends. Lots of friends. We represent over 40 star systems. Ambassador Keth explained, his golden eyes gleaming with determination. For years, we have watched the hegemony expand their control using fear and deception. But your victory has shown us that they can be beaten. A furry alien who looked like a cross between a bear and a cat spoke up in a growling voice. "I am General Tor of the Independent Mining Colonies. The hegemony destroyed 3 of our settlements last year using their pirate allies. We have 50 armed mining ships ready to fight." Another alien with blue skin and silver markings added her voice. "The Epsilon Trade Federation has been losing merchant vessels to hegemony pirates for months. We can provide 40 escort ships and complete intelligence on their operations." Lee Hyun listened to each offer with growing amazement. In just a few days, the human victory had triggered something. Huge species that had been afraid to oppose the hegemony were now willing to risk everything for a chance at freedom. But he also knew they were facing incredible odds. Even with all these allies, they were still outnumbered. The Alteran 4th Battle Group was one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy. Dr. Yang Min-jae had been working around the clock analyzing captured hegemony technology and intercepted communications. Her findings were both encouraging and terrifying. "Captain, the good news is that our weapons are extremely effective against their ship designs," she reported. "Their hulls are built for speed and energy efficiency, not for absorbing kinetic impacts. Our plasma bolts and missiles can penetrate their armor much easier than their own energy weapons can penetrate ours." "And the bad news?" Lee Hyun asked. "They have over 250 ships heading this way," Yang Min-jae replied. "Plus, they are bringing support vessels, repair ships, supply transports, and mobile weapons platforms. This is not just a battle group. This is a full invasion force." Engineer Park Min had been working with the allied species to share human technology and tactical knowledge. Many of their ships were built, like the aliens, sleek and fast but fragile. Park Min had ideas about how to fix that problem. "Sir, we can help them add armor plating to their most important systems," he explained. "We do not have enough materials to armor their entire ships, but we can protect their engines, weapons, and command centers that will help them survive longer in battle." Weapons Officer Choi Yeon was training allied gunners in human combat tactics. Most alien species fought at long range using energy weapons and trying to avoid damage. The human approach was completely different. "We get close and hit hard," she explained to a group of alien weapons officers. "Our ships are built to take punishment so we can move in close where our weapons are most effective. Your ships are faster than ours, so you can use hit-and-run tactics, strike hard, then retreat before they can return fire effectively." The alliance was growing stronger every day, but so was the threat Commander Vex had been gathering intelligence on the rebel fleet. His spies reported that the humans had convinced dozens of species to join their cause. "This is actually good news," Vex told his senior staff. "The more ships they bring, the bigger the target we have to shoot at. Their alliance is made up of different species with different technologies and tactics. They will have trouble coordinating their attacks, communications. Officer Bei Sung was monitoring hegemony transmissions, and what he heard made his blood run cold. Captain, the Alterans are not just bringing warships. They have troop transports and occupation forces. They are planning to invade and occupy every world that supports us. If we lose this battle, entire civilizations will be enslaved." Chief Navigator Oh Se-jin had been studying star charts and fleet positions. The math was simple and terrifying. The human alliance had managed to gather about 120 ships from various species. Commander Vex was bringing over 250 advanced military vessels. "Sir, we are still outnumbered more than 2-1, she reported. "And that is assuming all our allies actually show up for the battle. Some of them might change their minds when they see the size of the Alteran fleet. But Lee Hyun had made his decision. Earth had come this far and would not back down now. The human ships had been built for this kind of fight. Even if the odds were impossible, they would stand and fight. Ambassador Kim Dae brought the final piece of news that would determine the fate of the alliance. The Galactic Council had called an emergency session to discuss the growing conflict. "They are demanding that both sides stand down and submit to council arbitration," Kim Dae reported. But the vote was very close. "Many council members are secretly supporting our cause. Even some who voted for arbitration do not want to see the hegemony win." The stage was set for the biggest space battle in galactic history. On one side, Commander Vex with the most advanced military technology in the galaxy and centuries of combat experience. On the other side, Captain Lee Hyun with 12 ugly human ships and a ragtag alliance of species who had decided they would rather die fighting than live as slaves. The Battle of Kepler Station was about to begin, and the outcome would determine the future of freedom in the galaxy. The old mining station at the edge of the Kepler Nebula had been abandoned for 20 years, but now it buzzed with activity like a disturbed beehive. Ships from dozens of different species docked at its ports, while crews worked day and night to turn it into a fortress. Captain Lee Hyun stood in what used to be the station's main control room, looking out at the organized chaos. Engineers from 8 different species were welding new armor plates to the station's hull, while weapons specialists installed every gun, missile launcher, and energy cannon they could find. The transformation was amazing. In just 1 week, the dying station had become a military stronghold, protected by the nebula's gas clouds and bristling with enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. But Lee Hyun knew it might not be enough. Commander Vex was bringing the most powerful battle group in the Galaxy Engineer Park. Min was everywhere at once, supervising the installation of human-style armor on Allied ships. The work was hard and dangerous, but the alien crews were learning fast. They had seen what human armor could do against energy weapons, and they wanted the same protection. "Sir, we have finished upgrading 47 Allied vessels," Park Min reported, wiping sweat from his forehead. "We cannot give them full human armor, but their critical systems are now protected. Most importantly, we have taught them how to repair battle damage quickly." The alliance had grown beyond anyone's wildest dreams. 130 ships from 26 different species were now gathered around the station. Some were military vessels, but many were converted merchant ships, mining vessels, and even a few luxury yachts, whose owners wanted to fight for freedom. Dr. Yang Min-jae had been working with alien scientists to analyze every piece of hegemony technology they could find. Her laboratory was filled with wreckage from the Shadow Fleet battle and intercepted communications from Alteran ships. "Captain, I have discovered something important," she announced during the daily briefing. "The hegemony ships all use the same basic shield frequency and weapon harmonics. They are designed to work together perfectly, but that also means they have the same weaknesses. She brought up a holographic display showing the energy signatures of different ship types. If we can disrupt their shield harmonics at the right frequency, their entire fleet will be vulnerable for several minutes. It is like finding the key that unlocks all their doors at once. Weapons Officer Choi Yeon had been training constantly with the Allied gunners. Most alien species preferred long-range combat, but the humans were teaching them a different way to fight. Close-range combat is terrifying, but effective. She explained to a group of Draknari pilots, "Your ships are fast enough to get close, launch a devastating attack, and escape before they can respond. The key is coordination. We all attack together so they cannot focus their return fire." The training was paying off. The Allied fleet was learning to fight like humans, absorbing punishment and hitting back twice as hard. But everyone knew the real test would come when Commander Vex arrived. Chief Medical Officer Park So-young had set up emergency medical stations throughout the fleet. Her medical teams included doctors from a dozen species, all working together to save lives. The differences in alien biology were challenging, but they were learning to adapt. "We have enough medical supplies to treat major casualties from about 50 ships," she reported. "But if this battle lasts long, we are going to run out of everything. The hegemony has unlimited resources. We have to win quickly or not at all." Communications, Officer Bae Sung, was monitoring transmissions from across the galaxy. The news of the growing alliance had inspired resistance movements on dozens of worlds. Colonies that had been forced to pay tribute to the hegemony were refusing to cooperate with their occupation. Forces. "Sir, we are receiving reports of uprisings on 12 different worlds," Bae Sung announced with excitement. "The people have heard about our victory over the Shadow Fleet, and they believe freedom is possible again." But not all the news was good. Ambassador Kim Dae brought disturbing intelligence from his contacts in the Galactic Council. The political situation was getting more complicated every day. "The Council is deeply divided," Kim Dae reported. "Some members are secretly providing supplies to our alliance, but others are demanding that we surrender immediately. They fear that this conflict will spread and tear the galaxy apart." The fear was not unreasonable. The hegemony controlled or influenced over 100 star systems. If they were defeated, it would create a power vacuum that could lead to chaos. But if they won, freedom would be dead for generations. Ambassador Keth had been coordinating with resistance movements throughout hegemony space. His intelligence network was providing valuable information about enemy ship movements and battle plans. Commander Vex is not just bringing his battle group. He warned during a strategy meeting. He has convinced 3 other hegemony members to contribute ships. The final count is 290 vessels plus support craft. We are facing the largest military force assembled in 50 years. The numbers were terrifying, but Lee Hyun had an idea that might even the odds. The human ships had one advantage that no one else possessed. They could take incredible amounts of damage and keep fighting. What if they used that advantage in a new way? "I want to discuss a new battle plan," he announced to his senior staff. "We are going to do something that goes against every rule of space. Combat. We are going to let them surround us." The room fell silent. Everyone stared at Lee Hyun like he had lost his mind. Letting the enemy surround you was the fastest way to get destroyed in space. "Combat Captain, that is suicide. Chief Navigator," Sejin protested. "Once they surround us, we will be taking fire from all directions." "Exactly," Lee Hyun replied with a grim smile. "That means we will be in range to fire back in all directions too. Our ships can survive being surrounded. Their ships cannot survive being in close range of our weapons." The plan was incredibly risky, but it might work. The human ships would position themselves at the center of the Allied formation. When the hegemony fleet attacked, they would let the enemy ships get close. Then the humans would unleash everything they had, while their allies provided support from the outside. Dr. Yang Min-jae ran computer simulations of the battle plan. The results were mixed. Sometimes the Alliance won decisively, but sometimes they were completely destroyed. The outcome would depend on timing coordination and a lot of luck. Engineer Park Min made final preparations to the human ships. Every weapon system was checked and double-checked, all armor was reinforced, and all backup systems were tested. The 12 Earth vessels were as ready as they would ever be. Lieutenant Commander Song Hai gathered the captains of all 12 human ships for a final meeting. They had trained together, fought together, and now they would either win together or die together. "We came out here to prove that Earth deserves respect," she said, looking at each captain in turn. "Tomorrow we find out if we were right. The galaxy is watching us. Every human who ever dreamed of reaching the stars is counting on us." The Allied fleet took its positions around Kepler Station. The human ships formed a defensive core, while faster alien vessels prepared for hit-and-run attacks. The station itself became a weapons platform with enough firepower to destroy dozens of enemy ships. Then the waiting began. Long-range sensors detected the approach of Commander Vex and his massive fleet. In just a few hours, the Battle of Kepler Station would begin. The largest space battle in galactic history was about to determine whether freedom or tyranny would rule the stars. Captain Lee Hyun stood on the bridge of the UES Defender, looking out at his fleet. 12 ugly human ships and over 100 alien allies, all willing to fight and die for the chance to be free tomorrow, would bring either glorious victory or total defeat. But whatever happened, the galaxy would remember that Earth had stood up when it mattered most. The humans had proven they belonged among the stars. Now they had to prove they could defend their place there. The moment Commander Vex arrived at Kepler Station with his massive fleet, he knew something was wrong. The Rebel Alliance had grown far beyond what his intelligence reports suggested. Over 140 ships surrounded the old mining station, and they were not running away in terror. "This is Commander Vex of the Alteran Royal Fleet," he announced on all communication channels. "You are in violation of Galactic Council Resolution 847. All rebel vessels will surrender immediately or face complete destruction. You have 5 minutes to comply." The response came from Captain Lee Hyun aboard the UES Defender, his voice calm and steady. "This is Captain Lee Hyun of the United Earth Fleet, speaking for the Free Alliance Commander Vex. You have used pirates to terrorize innocent civilians. You have conquered peaceful worlds through deception and fear. Today, that ends." Vex stared at his tactical display in disbelief. The human ships were positioned at the very center of the rebel formation, completely surrounded by their allies. It was the stupidest military formation he had ever seen. Once his fleet attacked, those primitive Earth vessels would be taking fire from every direction. "Very well," Vex said with cold satisfaction. "You have chosen extinction. All ships, attack formation. Gamma 7. Destroy the human vessels first, then mop up their pathetic allies." 290 advanced hegemony warships moved forward in perfect formation. Their sleek hulls gleamed with deadly beauty as they closed in on the Rebel Alliance. The most powerful military force in the galaxy was about to crush a ragtag group of freedom fighters. The battle began with Vex using his favorite tactic, long-range energy bombardment. Hundreds of directed energy beams lanced out toward the Allied fleet. The attacks were designed to overwhelm enemy shields and destroy ships quickly and efficiently. But something went wrong. The human ships at the center of the formation absorbed the energy attacks like they were gentle rain. Their thick, primitive armor glowed red-hot but held firm. The backup systems kicked in automatically, and the Earth vessels kept fighting. "What are those ships made of?" screamed an Alteran weapons officer as his most powerful. Energy beams failed to penetrate human armor. Engineer Park Min watched his damage control displays with grim satisfaction. Captain armor holding at 85%. All primary systems operational. All backup systems ready. The old-fashioned materials are working perfectly. Dr. Yang Minjai was monitoring the enemy's energy signatures from her science station. Captain. Now she called out, "Their shield harmonics are synchronized exactly as predicted. Activating disruption frequency in 3, 2, 1A. Pulse of energy spread out from the human fleet, targeting the specific frequency that all hegemony ships used for their shields. For 37 seconds, every enemy vessel in the battle was completely defenseless. Now shouted Captain Lee Hyun. All ships, maximum firepower. The Free Alliance unleashed everything they had. 140 ships fired at once. Plasma bolts, missiles, energy beams, and kinetic projectiles filled space with deadly light. The hegemony fleet suddenly found itself, taking massive damage from weapons they had dismissed as primitive. 43 advanced warships exploded in the first minute of the coordinated attack. Commander Vex watched in horror as his carefully planned formation collapsed into chaos. His ships were designed for quick, decisive battles against enemies who followed the rules of modern warfare, but the humans were not following any rules. Their 12 ugly vessels moved into the heart of the enemy formation like predators hunting in a pack. The UES defender led the charge with Captain Lee Hyun standing calmly on his bridge as energy beams exploded around him. All human vessels close to point-blank range, he commanded. Let them see what Earth weapons can do up close. The battle turned into something no one had ever seen before. The human ships pushed through the hegemony lines, taking incredible punishment but never stopping. Their armor was scarred and blackened. Their hulls were cracked and burning, but they kept fighting weapons. Officer Choi Yeon coordinated the human attack with deadly precision. Each Earth ship had specific targets, and they destroyed them methodically. The Alteran vessels built for elegance and speed crumpled under sustained bombardment from primitive. Plasma Weapons Lieutenant Commander Song Hai aboard the UES Avenger led a direct assault on Commander Vex's flagship. Her ship took dozens of direct hits that should have destroyed her, but the redundant systems and thick armor kept her fighting target. The enemy command ship, she ordered. All vessels concentrate fire on Vex. We end this by cutting off their head. 6 human warships turned their weapons on the massive Alteran command vessel. The flagship was beautiful and advanced with shields that could stop most.